Everyone ready for part 5? Let's go! Bokuto rushed out the gym, barely holding on to his things as soon as the okay had been given. He only half-heartedly listened to the coach's warnings to be aware of aftershocks. Even while running, he reached for his phone and called who he was sure was most likely of his boyfriends to pick up. Kenma? I'm okay. Jeez, breathe. I'm on my way home. I'll be there in... Calm down, I get it. But don't act reckless. I'm fine, and so is Tetsu. He will arrive here soon as well. Sakura managed to call him before Bokuto. He wasn't really surprised. Other than him, he probably had his phone with him the whole time. Did you hear something from Keiji? Could you reach him? He anxiously waited for a reply, but Kenma had suddenly gone silent. No, not yet. Perhaps he just doesn't have service out in the woods. It was a weak attempt, and next to the burning in his lungs, he felt his heart clench. Just come home safely. We will figure this out. Bokuto gulped, but he complied. There wasn't much else he could do anyways. Short glimpses of green and brown flashed around him. Labored breathing echoed from above, and his body was shaken by an unsteady rhythm. His senses were dulled, as though he was underwater. He wasn't conscious enough to try and swim and fight himself to the surface, but ever so often he would reach it. For the short moments of awareness, flashes of sensations stormed his system in rapid, painful bursts. Glicing hot pain jolted up his leg with every movement. His blood was rushing in his ears, and the panting above swelled into a raging storm in his mind. The world around him got sharp edges, and for a few shots his brain registered clear-cut images of unfathomable chaos. A wave of instinctual fear overran his system until just seconds later it would get too much and he'd sink back into the depths below. The few seconds between pain and unconsciousness were blissful. If he had the strength, he would have tried to hold on to it. It was in these few instances that his mind wandered to calmer scenes. Atsumu falling asleep on Aaron's lap after a particularly hard day, and the other carrying him to bed despite being exhausted himself. Sakusa and him meeting in the morning for tea. The comfortable silence he could always share with the raven. The soft words Aaron offered him, and Atsumu's endless passion. The memories morphed into a pleasant feeling that washed over him before he fell deeper. Somehow it took his fear from the abyss and pain, knowing that in between he would get to see them again. Osamu jumped up, hitting his head on the table as soon as he heard the familiar ringing of his phone on the kitchen counter. Akagi next to him yelped at the sudden motion, but let him go as he rushed to accept the call. Then... So, you haven't heard from them either? Atsumo's voice sounded somewhere between frantic and defeated. In the background, he could hear Eren trying to calm an apparently increasingly hectic Sakusa. His twin's words felt like a dagger being twisted in his chest. He didn't even register the relief at the confirmation that his brother was fine. His throat was raw, eyes red, and out of tears, but he mustered an involuntary sob regardless. Samu, we're gonna find them. They are smart. Of course they will be fine. He wished he could just believe him, internalize the reassurance his brother offered, but the guilt weighed heavy on his shoulders, and the what-ifs were killing him. The dry sobs from his side of the phone caused new alarm to find its way into Atsumo's voice while he tried to find the right words to somehow calm his twin. It usually was the other way around. Osamu would tease him and said that he acted like a baby while promising that it would be alright. But this way, he felt just helpless from afar. Suddenly, Sakusa's voice came closer and he said something to the blonde Osamu couldn't quite decipher. Okay. Yes. Listen, Samu, Kumari just called on me. The trains are inactive due to the damage in the system, but we can pick him up. We can pick him up and come over. This way, if one of us gets informed, we all do. Okay? Think you got that? He nodded, although Atsumo of course couldn't see him, but before he could answer, Akagi took the phone from his hand. We got that. Bring Motoya home safely, yes. I'm counting on you. Before long, the face of his boyfriend, the only one currently safe and sound by his side, appeared before him as he kneeled down to meet Osamu's gaze. The grey-haired couldn't even remember sitting down on the ground, but that's where he suddenly found himself. Osamu, look at me. He did, hesitantly, but he did. He wasn't sure what he was expecting, accusation perhaps, but the Libera's eyes were soft. This isn't your fault. I know the fight sucks and that you regret it, all of it, but the reality is people fight. You couldn't know that disaster would strike the next day. And just because it did doesn't mean you are a worse person. You acted stupidly and stubborn. Shocker, we all do that sometimes. You can't go through life assuming the worst. Fact is, you couldn't have known. Osamu didn't know what to say. Some part of his brain probably acknowledged that Akagi wasn't completely wrong, but the majority was still too rattled with emotions. Come here. He blindly reached out to the toddler again, and in the blink of an eye, they found themselves half sitting, half lying next to the kitchen counter, entangled in an embrace. The Libero shushed him softly and drew soothing patterns on his back. All that was left to do was to wait. As soon as the rock formation came into view, Akaashi felt like he could collapse. He dragged himself, and Semi for that matter, the final meters until both of them were sitting against the sturdy rocks. They hadn't budged. In all the sudden chaos surrounding them, the rocks had mostly stayed the same. It should be safe here. At least safer. Surprised, he looked up. Considering how out of it he had been the whole time since their journey back down the hill, he hadn't expected the musician to recover anytime soon. He didn't look much better though. His head slumped against the cold surface of the rock and his eyes remained unfocused. He looked seconds from passing out, and Akaashi wasn't sure if it was smart to let him and hoped he would recover fast. Next to them, Tsunade collapsed after as carefully as possible in his current state, lowering Kita to the ground. Coughing filled the air as the middle blocker doubled over and spat blood. It reminded Akaashi painfully of his own aching lungs, but he suppressed the urge and forced himself up again. Okay, first things first. We need to inspect the injuries. Then, call for help. And try to build shelter. The shaking seems to have stopped for now, but be mindful of aftershocks. Looking at them, he knew that he wouldn't be able to count on Kita or Semi much. Suna also looked minutes from passing out, and he couldn't blame him. His own head was buzzing, and he had a hard time forcing his brain to focus. They had come so far. If they could survive almost falling down a cliff, the aftermath should be a piece of cake. They had to. He gritted his teeth. Suna, do you have your phone with you? He nodded weakly, still breathing heavily and fighting for air. His hand reached into his pocket and to their relief revealed the black phone he always carried around. Akaashi's own was in his backpack, but that one he lost when Suna first tried to carry him. They hadn't had time for any extra weight at that point. Try to reach someone. If it doesn't work, keep an eye on it. Anything else? We need to signal our location in case they come looking for us. To his right, Semi heaved himself off the ground. He winced, but went on regardless. Wait. No. We gotta do everything to survive, right? You're injured just as I am, but we have to, right? He smiled weakly, and Akaashi understood why he was so popular. It was genuine, and even in the battered state, he believed him. The raven nodded slowly, and while Semi searched through his backpack, walked over to Kita to inspect his wounds. His leg was definitely broken. The skin around his ankle was red, scratched open and coated in blood and dirt. He wished he had something to clean the wound, but all he could offer was a bandana. His eyes searched the ground for something that could be used to stabilize the injured leg, and he found that at least that part was easy. The shaking had showered the ground in sticks of various size and shape, and he quickly found two he deemed fitting. He aligned them alongside his calf and used the bandana to fasten the hastily put together construction. His body twitched, but Kita remained unconscious. Quickly, Akaashi searched the Silverhaired for any head injuries, but found none. Perhaps the pain was just too much. He hoped it was just that, and nothing worse. He hoped he would wake up soon, that he would be fine, that all of them would be fine, and that he would get to see them again. Tears stung in his eyes, akin to the burning in his lungs. Just this morning, his life had been perfect. He couldn't have asked for a better family, and yet he even played with the thought of expanding it. Just this morning, he thought about one day adopting a kid with his partners, and now... He bitterly thought that at least the tears might disinfect the wound on his face as he gave up trying to be strong. He cried silently as he dragged Kita close to the stones where they'd set up shelter. One towered a little over to the side, offering some shelter beneath from anything falling upon them from above. With his resolve crumbling and the adrenaline fading, he registered the pain again. The cuts on his face and hands were burning and his lungs ached. He coughed, but it offered little relief. He looked up, hopefully, as remembered that Suna tried to contact home. Did you? He was interrupted by another cough, followed by disappointment as Suna shook his head. While Akaashi collapsed against the stone behind him again, the unconscious Kita now positioned next to him. Suna leaned against the tree opposite to them. His eyes trailed up to the sky, and he frowned as he found it was quickly darkening. I need to build shelter. The taller nodded slowly and got up. Stay with Kita. I will gather materials. He would have liked to protest, but his increasingly blurry vision told him that there was no use. If he didn't focus on staying awake now, he'd drift into the darkness as well. Only that he didn't know when. If he would wake up again. If that were to happen. Breathing felt as though someone had put a weight on top of his chest, and soon his rigid attempts at forcing air into his lungs were all he could hear as the world drowned in blurry shapes. Thank you so much for watching till the end. I know it's mean cliffhanger, but there was more to come. And remember, if you like this series and if you want me to continue it as frequently as I do, to leave a like and subscribe so you won't miss out on anything in the future and to support this channel while I do this project. Also, I'm sorry if my voice was a bit like, I had a really allergic reaction yesterday. Don't think hospital allergic reaction, but very energy draining. So I'm still recovering from that. Thank you to my nerdy neckos. You're the best. You keep this channel going. Thank you so much. Check out my other social media, or even better, check out the other videos in the end card. And now I hope you have a wonderful and amazing day. See you tomorrow.
Step 1, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good